Hello, happy Friday, and welcome to Sound Off with System One. I am your host, Allie Moen. I'm here today with three of our recruiting experts for a live job seeker Q&A. So how this will work is as you're tuning in, if you have any questions relating to any part of the job search, resumes, interviews, drop those in the comments and we will be answering as many as we can live today. Before we get started, a few words about System One. System One is a leading provider of specialized, highly technical outsourced services and workforce solutions to critical infrastructure, technology, life sciences, and government sectors, putting more than 650 employees and 10,000 contractors to work in the United States, Canada, the UK, and Brazil. Before we get started answering some questions for everybody, I'm going to have my recruiting experts introduce themselves and share a hot job that they're currently working on. Afia, I'll start with you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Afia. I recruit for technical roles at System One and some corporate positions as well. Right now, I have an exciting new role. It's a BA. There's some AI plus healthcare. It is remote fully. So definitely apply. And as we know, AI is getting more and more popular. So if you have that experience or wanting to learn, this is a great role.
Hi, everyone. My name is Madison. I sit out of our Bluebell office with Jolie and work mainly on life sciences and pharmaceutical positions and with those companies. I do have a role right now. It's located in Rockville for a biopharma team looking for a scientist that has hands-on bioprocessing experience. So a lab-based focus role, really a great opportunity for someone who wants to be super hands-on and own their work and then grow technically as well.
Hello, my name is Chandra Ray, and I am a Senior Business Development Manager here in the Greater Houston area. Our hot job is for an electrical engineer. This is a local opportunity and hybrid, so you will be in the office a couple days a week. We are looking for a PE with data center experience who really enjoys the design aspect of the role, and this is paying up to $200,000 for this position.
Great. Thank you so much, Chandra, Madison, and Afia for sharing those hot jobs. You can search those jobs as well as all of the opportunities with System One and our subsidiary companies like Jolie by visiting jobs.system1.com or by scanning the QR code at the top of our screen. I do see we have some people joining us in the comments. We have some folks from Maryland, from Texas. So as you're tuning in, this is a live Q&A. Please start dropping your questions in there. Before we get to those, I know my experts have prepared some tips that they would like to share with you all. So we'll get started with that. Afia, what is your tip that you have for our job seekers today?
Yeah. So one I would say is being adaptable, and two is being able to learn new skills. They kind of go hand in hand. So a good example is how AI is coming into the market. You don't have to like restart a whole new course, but people that have Python, that coding and language goes into AI. So you can use those skills more as like transferable. But the biggest thing is just kind of seeing what's going on in the market, especially like at your current role, and then being able to pick up courses maybe here and there, or learning with like a new IT member. But I would definitely use skills, especially with the job market changing and with new technologies and softwares coming out.
And then my quick tip here is based on some of those resume editing and tailoring it to a bit of what you're looking for. So when tailoring your resume, don't just list like your experience or kind of the day-to-day responsibilities in a more broad way. Like definitely go in and mirror the language of the job description. So use the same keywords that they're using in the job description, phrasing they use, so it clearly aligns with what they're looking for and keeping it authentic to yourself. This will help get you through any applicant tracking systems, any filters, and make it easier for recruiters to quickly see that you're a strong fit for the role.
Great tips, ladies. I would say my best advice is to look at how your skills will translate versus where you've worked. So a big example of this right now would be in the data center world, where a lot of our team is concentrating. Someone may say data center experience is required in the job description, and that's getting tested really hard right now. So some of the best hires are coming from other industries, not necessarily that industry. So adjacent industries like power, oil, gas, advanced manufacturing. So if you can look at your skills and translate that into the position that you want to work, that's going to be your best bet in moving forward to getting a great interview with that role.
Great. Thank you so much. And I do see some questions rolling in from our audience. So we are going to get started with some of those. Our first question comes from Krista. How long should my resume be and how far back should I go with my experience?
I'm frozen.
I could jump in. Oh, so I'll jump in. Rule of thumb for me is if it doesn't help you get this job, then you can cut it. You want to make sure that you're providing the experience that is going to be impactful for the position that you're applying for, and keeping it again authentic. So if you're looking at anywhere between 1 page for like more early career, 2 pages, and sometimes if it's more of a like scientific skill set where you need to include some of your published work, it might go to 3, but 3 pages max for some of those higher level roles. Keeping it to 1 to 2 is definitely a good rule of thumb, though.
I would definitely agree with you, Madison. No more than 3 pages, and keeping it all set to relevant experience to the position that you are applying for, because it is very important that you tailor your resume to the position that you're applying for.
Those are great tips. Definitely. You guys definitely covered it all.
Great. So we can move to our next question, and this is coming from Richard. Are cover letters worth the time for a job seeker to write and for a recruiter to read?
I can.
So I'll take this one.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so for cover letters, personally, I would speak to the recruiter and see, because a lot of times what we're looking at is the resume, and it just depends on the job, the market. Like if your resume cannot cover everything and there's definitely important details that you think will help you get the position, then a cover letter is great. But usually I have candidates that ask me, so they'll just apply with their resume. And then as we speak, I'm like, oh, this is really great information. I don't think it's going to fit on your resume. And then I do have them write a cover letter or like a short summary to send over to the client.
Yeah, to add on to that too, any positions that are a quick, easy apply or like more high volume roles, they're just echoing, the recruiter is looking at that resume first, so not kind of going over that cover letter, but depending, again, speaking to your recruiter, if the job specifically asks for one, or if you're making that career pivot into a new industry and would like to explain your story more, just to get a good idea, just to make sure you're sharing what you can bring to the table. I think that's always a good approach there. And you can always have a template ready and tailor it when you're applying to positions, so that you can kind of pick and choose when you're sharing that cover letter.
You hit right on the button, Madison, with what I was going to say with the career pivot part. But something additional I would add on is if it's an industry change too, if you're moving from oil and gas over to manufacturing, and why it would make sense for the position you had in one industry to translate to the position you're looking for in the new industry.
Great. And then, oh, sorry, did someone else want to say something? All right. So another question that we do have, is there a technique or a way that I can present my previous and my current responsibilities and duties in the shortest way possible while still being able to capture the attention of the hiring company?
I'll jump in. When you're sharing your responsibilities, again, I think the kind of key theme is making sure that your skills and your experience are kind of mirroring language in an authentic way. I think a good rule of thumb is if you have any percentages or any quantifiable things that you would like to share that you've done and have been successful for, to make sure to include those, kind of just showing the effort and the support you've given to your position. If you're shortening it up, you again, just kind of, you can make a bullet point and kind of make it a blanket statement of what the overall role was. But if it's not going to be helpful for your new position, definitely speak with your recruiter and you can walk through and kind of make those adjustments as needed.
I would absolutely agree with you.
That's a great.
All right. And what about gaps on your resume? How should a job seeker handle those?
I can take this one. I actually have one of those gaps on my resume because I was previously a stay-at-home mom. So a lot of times people will take off time to stay with their family. This could be listed as family leave. If you're taking care of family, if you need to leave for any type of medical reason, you can list that as medical leave. And you can take off time to improve on your skill set. And you want to be able to explain what it is that you did to be able to keep yourself current in moving forward with a career later on down the road while you are taking that time of leave.
To echo that too, I think you hit it on the head. Gaps on your resume aren't a deal breaker. A lot of hiring managers are just wanting clarity and not perfection and making everything look like you think that they want it to. So if you took time off for family or health or anything like that, that's completely normal. Just you can add a brief line to your resume if it's a longer gap, just showing you're staying productive in some way and confidently speaking on it, just to add there.
I definitely agree with both of those tips. I guess like the biggest issue is a lot of people, like when you have a conversation with them, like of course, like you're not obligated to go into details, but people just say, I want to take off, but it just sounds a lot better when you have like a reasoning, whether family or like just wanting a mental, but that's always good to just have that conversation.
Great. All right. And then I do have a question coming in from Drew. If your resume has any red flags that might be preventing you from landing an interview, what could you do to improve your chances?
I can take this one. So something that you can do to improve your chances is to address those red flags head on and explain what it is that you did in order to correct what they may be viewing as a red flag.
Yeah, I agree with that. Don't try to hide it, address it head on and get explanation like simple and confident. And then focus on strengthening the rest of what your resume or your profile says to kind of highlight the positives rather than just the red flags.
Okay, and our next question comes from Jason. Should metrics or goals be shown on a resume?
I can take this one. So with my client and the type of position, I always say yes. It very much just depends on the type of position you're doing, whether it's finance, whether it's like a management role. Like, for example, I've had people that will add like their percentage saying, we were able to save this much financially, or we were able to get this many projects done in a, I guess in a more timely manner. So adding percentages, showing like what a difference you've made in that company is really helpful, because a lot of people do look for numbers like, hey, does this employee take his job seriously? And then can he make an improvement within that department, depending on your role?
I absolutely agree with that, because ultimately these metrics and goals are going to be the marketing piece of your resume. So your resume isn't just your career story. It's going to advertise who you are, what you've done, what you've achieved, and it's going to be a preview for what you can do for your next company.
And just to add in there too, I think both of those are on the nose. Look at the type of company, big or small, that you might be applying for. For example, in a sales position, it might be a smaller company, so you look at the percentage of sales you might have made versus how much, just because of the amount that that company may be bringing in is less than what a larger company may be. So just look at those different numbers and goals, and make sure that it's reflective of what you've done, to position you in the best way.
That's great advice.
Great. And our next question, are the easy apply jobs that are on LinkedIn worth applying for when there are already hundreds of clicks?
I'll take this. I would say
I can
yes,
take this.
absolutely. Absolutely, they're worth it, because you never know if the 101st person, being yourself, could be the person that they are looking for.
I definitely agree with that.
And yeah, just to add to that too, 100% worth it, but you shouldn't rely on them alone. They're great for quick, and getting your resume out there. Again, you could be that one of 101, but they're very competitive. So just use them as a part of your strategy rather than just solely relying on LinkedIn applications.
Great. And sticking on LinkedIn a little bit longer, how much does your LinkedIn profile actually get analyzed or impact potential candidacy?
I'll jump in quick. I think it's really important to make sure that your LinkedIn is aligned with your resume. You don't want any discrepancies or your years of experience to not match up, or you're taking one out of the other, because that is kind of what would draw some concern of kind of consistency and being able to share and touch on that.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I would say that your LinkedIn profile it's public for others to see what it is that you are going to present yourself as for their company if they were to decide to hire you.
Okay, and then a question from Larry. How could you respond to an interviewer with feedback about how you could be overqualified for a position and could get bored if it were something that you were to accept?
I can jump in on this one. So usually, like within the first 5 minutes, I have that conversation with my candidate, and I'm like, "Hey, you are overqualified." And usually, like I like to hear what the candidate has to say because I don't think everyone's a no or everyone's a yes. I think it's very situational. They may be overwhelmed with their current position, with the higher position, and they want to step down a little bit, which is understandable. Or there could be many different reasons. Personally, always just conversation and understand goals, their background, to make sure that this is like a long-term position that they would be happy with.
Yeah, I think the emphasis there would be on that long term, just making it clear that you're comfortable with the level, the compensation, and you're not going to leave as soon as something more senior comes up. I think that's a big concern with someone if they're coming off as a little bit more overqualified. So I think the key is just to reassure and address it directly as soon as you can.
Absolutely. I would also like to add that there is an opportunity here in this interview for you to ask about what growth opportunities might be available once you were to take this position and what that track might look like down the line.
Absolutely. Our next question comes from Richard. Should your professional summary on the resume be tailored to the individual role or just cover your overall experience and strengths?
I can jump in on that. I would say tailor it to the specific role. There are a lot of strengths that you're going to have that are going to translate into multiple positions. So you want to look over the job description and see what it is that is in your current resume that's going to work for that position so that you can speak directly to what it is that that company is looking for and make sure that you are a good fit for that position.
Yeah, just to add to that, it's one of the first things a recruiter or a hiring manager is going to read. So having those keywords and having it immediately align with the role, again, keeping it authentic and relevant to what your experience is. You don't need to rewrite your whole resume every single time. Just tweak a few lines that reflect those key skills.
I definitely agree. It's almost like a mini cover letter is how I always see it, just adding things that may not be in your specific experience, but just being able to say the overall gist of the position that you're applying for.
Great advice. And our next question, how often is it appropriate to follow up with a recruiter if I've not heard from them in some time?
I can take this one. So usually, so I would personally just ask like the recruiter, hey, like what is like the wait time or like the turnaround time, and kind of go based off of that. Like for example, there's certain clients that do take a little longer. So if it's been about 2 weeks, then maybe follow up with them if they told you it may take a few weeks. So just updating them that like job market, just because they are with a lot of candidates. And then sometimes like they'll follow up with you as well. But before following up with them, I would just ask them on the very first call, like, hey, what is like the timeline for this client to move forward, from interviewing to offer letter to reviewing resumes?
Yeah, that's definitely correct, and I agree with that. You just want to be thoughtful about your follow-ups. I know setting those expectations and understanding kind of what their timeline is, but just following up with a quick check-in. You don't want to overdo it, but again, it being thoughtful and showing that you're interested in the position, and staying on their radar, that to know that you are interested in moving forward with this position.
I agree with both of you ladies. There's no one size fits all with this. It is going to depend on each individual recruiter.
Okay, and I do have a question here. I'm having a hard time pulling it up, so I'll just kind of read it off to you all. But it is someone that is job searching and they are overwhelmed trying to navigate all the different websites, third-party entities, and inability to be able to connect with someone via email or on the phone. Do you have any suggestions for them?
I do. I can speak on this. So something that I have made a big part of my life and a lot of other folks have is utilizing AI. You can get onto ChatGPT, Claude, whatever you feel most comfortable with, and you can give it direction to help you find the positions that are actively listed on job sites that would be a good fit for your resume. You can add your profile or your resume as an attachment to these AI websites so that you can help to narrow it down. And once you have identified the companies and the positions you would like to apply for, you can go and find those people on LinkedIn. And then you can reach out to them on LinkedIn, send them a short note if you're unable to find the phone number or the email address to contact them.
Yeah, I think that is the great advice, and job searching in general is overwhelming, and it can be overwhelming pretty quickly. I think it's good if you just break it down and stay consistent instead of trying to do everything at once. So maybe like set small daily goals or apply to a few positions, reaching out to those individuals, and then keeping a a tracker of sorts or something organized to make sure you're it'll help you kind of prioritize the positions that you really are going for and that you care about, instead of kind of just mass applying and not knowing where kind of the resumes are going to.
All right. Well, thank you so much to my 3 experts here. That is our time for today. So I hope you all were able to get some of the questions answered that you had and learn a little bit here. Please be sure to connect with all of our experts here on LinkedIn. Their profiles are dropped into the comments. Follow System 1 on LinkedIn, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have all of our past Sound Off with System 1 segments, leadership insights, success stories, and more. And join us on Friday, May 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern, where our next Sound Off with System 1 topic will be interview etiquette. So again, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.